fasten your seatbelt. I am taking you for the ride of your life. I'm going to show you what this car can really do. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Hang on.
Okay.
Here we go.
Hold on to your butts.
Go get him, kid.
It might be a tumor.
It's not a tumor. Not a tumor at all.
F? What you're going to ask me. So you can go ahead and ask me what you're going to ask me. And my natural response could be to get offended.
Hey, want to hear the most annoying sound in the world?
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
All right.
You're listening to the 30-something movie podcast. One movie each week, 30 years in the making. It's the 30-something movie podcast. We're back once again for another 1991 movie. I have with me this time around Patrick and Bo. Gentlemen. Yo, Bo.
Hey.
Kind of like G.I. Joe.
Hey, bombs away. Yeah, that didn't quite work.
Well, that got awkward. What was that? Was that Jar Jar?
It's best not to ask what that was because I know what I was going for and it failed.
That's okay. That's like the times where I think, like, when I practice a voice or something, I know I can get it. But then when I try to do one on the fly here, and I'm like, yeah, it's like when Sean Connery said this, and you guys are like, oh, I thought that was Frank Sinatra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still saying go back to our Hunt for Red October podcast where you guys do the Sean Connery voice and then mine. And it's like perfect. Like it's totally like the Crickets. Like it's a pretty bad impression and the reaction is priceless.
And Pat's just like, I'll see myself out.
I'm done. I can't do impressions. I just,
That's all right. You always leave a good impression.
Well, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Sure you do. Speaking of leaving a good impression, I think we can mention this because I think it's probably right around the time it came out. Pat and I had a blast, actually last night at the time of this recording. We were guests on the Totally Rad Christmas podcast with Jerry, and we spent a little over a good hour talking about Die Hard.
Yeah.
It was fun times.
That was a cool experience, and it was so nice of him to invite us on, and he has a great show. I love all the segments and the bits that he does, and the was a great conversation. And it was cool talking about someone to, at the beginning of the podcast was almost a complete stranger, but just, coming together over, a great movie and talking about it. And it was fun. It was very fun.
It was, as the show went on, it was more and more of a, that's my favorite scene too.
Yes.
I love that part too. Yeah. So it was fun. Yeah.
And I feel bad because, he had, the segments that he does at the end. And I didn't want to reject the question, but there were a couple of them. I felt bad. I'm like, I'm sorry. I can't, hopefully I didn't, mess that up too badly.
I had, it wasn't our show, but I mean, I had this ready in case we needed it. Pat just rejected your question. Didn't use it because I didn't know how he was going to do his editing part, but
right,
we could have used it.
You got to have that ready at the ready.
Mm-hmm. Bo, how are you doing?
I'm well, John. How are you?
You and Jar Jar over there. How you guys doing?
We're doing just fine. He's going to sleep now.
Wow,
he's annoying.
That got dark.
Only in your mind, sir. Only in your mind.
Misa day starting pretty okie day. Then Bo choka Misa. Misa dead. Yeah.
Dead? I said sleep,
Yeah, but we've been watching a lot of mafia movies lately, so.
Sleeping with the fishes.
You say sleep, I think murdered,
Fair enough.
It is what it is.
Fair enough.
All right. Well, our movie, speaking of murder, our movie this time around is Ricochet, a lovely art house French film based on the name.
Yeah.
It's not French at all. I don't think there was anything French about it.
No.
But before we even get started, I want to ask you guys this question. Why do you think this movie was called Ricochet?
I was wondering that too, but I was like, I don't want to be the simpleton.
I mean, did you just figure somebody was like, hey, It's a cop movie. What's a word related to cops or shooting or something? I wonder if they just sat down with like a thesaurus and just went through and they're like, what can we call this one? Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know.
It seemed like a strange title. I don't know. Not that it's a bad title, but I'm just like, what does Ricochet? I think I spent too long thinking about it.
Yeah. Hey, I just watched Guardians of the Galaxy. Can we talk about that movie?
Did you really? Are you kidding?
Yeah, I did, because I'm rewatching all the Marvel.
That's where I am too. Okay. I'm actually a third of the way through Guardians of the Galaxy 2 right now.
Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I think I've only seen Guardians of the Galaxy a grand total of once, because I started rewatching it and I'm like, I think I haven't seen it since I last saw it. And this movie is amazing. Like, it's amazing with a capital And anyways,
nothing goes over my head. I would catch it. My reflexes are too quick.
You're like a thesaurus. Don't ever call me a thesaurus again. I mean, that's when you said thesaurus. I'm just saying it's an amazing movie. So here's why I'm saying Ricochet. Here's where I'm coming down, because I gave this some thought.
Yeah.
And I'm going to say,
lay it on us.
Denzel Washington, the great, the incomparable, Denzel Washington.
You'd say he's incomparable?
Yeah, like you cannot compare him to anything.
Incomparable? Wow, that's more than comparable.
That's right. It's he.
Would you say a plethora?
He caught he caught what's it? The guy from Third Rock from the Sun.
Harry Henderson.
Yeah, Harry Henderson. Yeah. He caught Harry Henderson, and then Harry Henderson kind of like came back after him, sort of like a ricochet bullet. But then at the end,
it's true.
Harry from the Hendersons, or the Henderson.
Well, Harry was the Bigfoot. I don't remember what it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Then he tried to get his revenge on the great and wonderful Denzel Washington, but then Denzel Washington was able to pull the reversal, and sort of like a bullet ricochet was able to get him. That's as much as I got. I see what you're saying. I smell what you're cooking. Yeah, that's what I'm going to say.
Okay. All right. That's acceptable. I think that's as good of an answer as we're going to get. So.
Okay.
All right. Well, very, very quickly, we do spoil freely here. So just be warned right now that we're just talking. So just be aware we spoil. The 30-something movie podcast is also part of the Scene Stealers podcast network. This episode is sponsored by Scene Stealers International Convention Agent, who have a top-class roster of movie and TV stars ready to be booked now for your Comic-Con or event. So for more information, go ahead and check out www.scenestealersglobal.com. Visit our website, 30podcast.com, where you can rate, leave a voicemail, become a co-executive producer via Patreon, all that good stuff. And I'll do a rundown real quick. If you want to get some of those Patreon exclusive episodes, we've got some good stuff from just this year alone that we've been working on. We had Clash of the Titans, the 81 version. We had Willy Wonka from 1971. We had our top 3 favorite songs from 90 and 91. We did Raiders of the Lost Ark. Last month was French Connection. And then coming up this month will be the Guns of Navarone. So all kinds of good stuff. And then later on, we've got the Heir to the Empire trilogy. We're going to do a book review on that one. Stripes, My Dinner with Andre, Evil Dead. I think later in the year, we're going to do our favorite TV shows of 91. And then we'll finish this year with It's a Wonderful Life from 46. So those are our Patreon exclusives. So supporting us at any level on Patreon, you get access to those. So, and those are usually supersized episodes, usually at least a couple hours, maybe 3 hours long by the time we're done with the whole thing. So get a little extra bang for your buck there.
That's right. You got leftovers for breakfast the next day.
It absolutely is. And if you enjoy jogging, or if you're mowing your lawn, it's springtime, so maybe you're mowing your lawn. Looking at you, Val Kilmer, and it gives you a plethora, if you will, Bo. There you go. We do have a plethora of episodes that you can get there if you're one of those Patreon co-executive producers. But yeah, so this is the first week of the month of June for us. So usually when we hit the first week, we do this month in 91. So we're going to jump in the DeLorean. We're going to go all the way up to 88, and we're going to hop back to 1991. So June of 91, some top news in June of 91. June 6th, NBC announces that Jay Leno will succeed Johnny Carson as host of The Tonight Show on May 25th, 92. June 10th, David Lynch's Twin Peaks airs its final episode on ABC. June 11th, for the techies in the crowd, Microsoft releases MS-DOS 5.0.
Ooh.
Those were the days. June 12th, Boris Yeltsin wins Russia's first presidential election with 57% of the vote. June 17th, the body of the 12th U.S. president, Zachary Taylor, is exhumed to test how he died. Rumors had persisted since his death in 1850 of arsenic poisoning. No evidence of this was found. I didn't realize that. I know they dug him up. And then June 18th, Everything I Do It For You. The single is released by Bryan Adams, and it is Billboard's Song of the Year 1991.
All right.
Born on this day, actress Zazie Beetz was born on June 1st. She was in Atlanta and Deadpool 2. She's actually American. Well, she's German. She was born in Berlin, Germany. And then on June 10th, I don't know that he himself is probably well known for a lot, but his mother is. James Cleveland McFadden Talbot. Anybody want to guess who his mommy was? With a last name like McFadden? Dr. Crusher.
Oh.
June 10th.
Very nice.
June 10th of 91, Gates McFadden had her child, James Cleveland McFadden Talbot.
Wow. Well, good for her.
Pat, I figured you would know this one. On June 10th, Stan Getz, American jazz tenor saxophonist, dies of liver cancer at age 64.
Yeah. Jeez, way too young.
Yeah. Top sports in this one. Pat, I figured you'd know this one too. On June 2nd in 91, 3 Andretti's finished 1, 2, and 3 at the Miller 200.
Yep. I remember that one.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Let's see. June 12th, NBA Finals. The Chicago Bulls beat the LA Lakers 108-101 in Game 5 for the first of 3 straight titles. Michael Jordan is MVP. Top books: Loves Music, Loves to Dance by Mary Higgins Clark, Oh, the Places You'll Go by Dr. Seuss, and Heir to the Empire by Timothy Zahn.
There you go.
Top movies: Backdraft, City Slickers, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and The Naked Gun 2.5. And then top songs for the month of June were More Than Words by Extreme and Rush Rush by Paula Abdul. And all right, I think that's probably it for 91. Yeah, that's all we got for 91. So good times.
Chunk of information.
Good times in 91. Good stuff going on. All right, so our movie this time around is Ricochet. I guess if you want to pronounce it in the original French, Ricochet. I have no idea.
You do that?
Yeah. Release date was 4th of October, 1991, rated R, with a runtime of 1 hour, 42 minutes, directed by Russell Mulcahy, who did Highlander and the TV series Teen Wolf. Producer on this one was Michael Levy and Joel Silver. Levy did Demolition Man and The Last Boy Scout. Silver did The Matrix and Die Hard. Writers on this one: Fred Decker did the story. Menno Mejis did the story. Stephen E. D'Souza did the screenplay. Decker did The Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps. Mejis did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade and The Color Purple. And D'Souza did Die Hard and Commando. Cinematography by Peter Levy, who did Predator 2 and Broken Arrow. Music by Alan Silvestri, who did Predator and The Avengers. I'm going to stop right there for a second, even though I know we're probably going to talk about it later. But I didn't look up any other information about this movie before I started watching it. And immediately I'm like, what are we, like chasing the Predator or something? What's going on with the music here?
Okay.
I'm like, that's got to be Alan Silvestri.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool when you pick up.
Alvin Silvestri is a chipmunk. That's totally different.
Oh, fun. But that's cool when you start to pick up like the cues. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, and it was totally obvious. And in fact, there were moments that it was like, I wonder if he just lifted it straight from Predator and dropped it into this movie, because it sounds so much like the Predator soundtrack. But yeah. Budget on this one, not sure what the budget was. Couldn't find that. Box office was $21.8 million. Flick Metrics gives it a 58% and Cinema Score gives it a B. Denzel Washington played Nick Stiles. No relation to Furious Stiles, I'm guessing, from Boys in the Hood. Same last name, but no relation as far as we know. He was in Training Day and The Book of Eli. John Lithgow played Earl Talbot Blake. Like any good serial killer, you got to have 3 names there. The World According to Garp and Third Rock. Ice-T played Odessa. He was in New Jack City and Law and Order SVU. Kevin Pollak played Larry Doyle. He was in The Usual Suspects and A Few Good Men. Lindsay Wagner played D.A. Priscilla Brimley. She was in The Bionic Woman and The Paper Chase. Mary Ellen Trainor died in 2015, played Gail Wallens. She was in Die Hard and The Goonies. Josh Evans played Kim. He was in The Doors and Born on the 4th of July. Victoria Dillard played Alice. She was in Coming to America and Ali. John Amos played Reverend Stiles. He was in Coming to America and Good Times. John Cothran played Councilman Ferris. He was in Black Snake Moan and Boys in the Hood. And Jesse Ventura played Chewalski. He was in Predator and Demolition Man. After tracking down and arresting Earl Talbot Blake, played by John Lithgow, a psychotic hitman, rookie Los Angeles police officer Nick Stiles, Denzel Washington, is hailed as a hero. Several years later, Stiles' life appears perfect. He has married his girlfriend, started a family, and risen to the position of assistant district attorney. However, his world is turned upside down when Blake escapes from prison with plans to exact brutal and well-calculated revenge.
The gun! Drop the gun! Now I'm gonna show you. I got absolutely nothing on underneath, all right? No hidden guns. I don't even have a chest protector on. Absolutely nothing. I mean, I don't want you to look stupid, right? I lay the gun down. You let the girl go. I'll be your hostage. Now I'm putting the gun down.
As a rookie cop, Nick Stiles made an arrest.
Now the only weapon I got left now is useless unless you're a pretty girl.
That launched him into the limelight.
Assistant District Attorney Nicholas Stiles has proven he can round up criminals.
But the one conviction he never thought twice about.
Remember Earl Talbot Blake?
No, the name escapes me.
Never stopped thinking about him.
I got things to live for. There's something real scary out on those streets.
He's watching.
Your closest associate had $10,000 in his possession before he died, and you have been linked to the disappearance of that money and child pornography.
Somebody somewhere is enjoying this because things like this don't just happen.
And waiting.
What if it was somebody he locked up?
Alice.
Can't take this anymore.
You wanted to be in the limelight. It's a hot seat now, pal.
I'm gonna make them pay for this. That's for damn sure they're gonna pay for this. If you don't trust me, at least trust my Main Street homeboy. I want to see his face in the light of those cameras when they put the cuffs on, when it'll be complete.
Denzel Washington, John Lithgow, Ice-T. Ricochet.
Ricochet. You just have to say it like that. Ricochet.
That it makes it all better.
Yeah. All right. So our typical first question here, as we usually do, is, and we'll make it a 2-parter. Is this the first time you've seen this movie, and how did it make you feel?
Yeah, first time I saw it, it made me feel
I think that noise might just be your answer.
Yeah. I would say, I mean, impressed with John Lithgow and impressed with Denzel Washington. Beyond impressed. I mean, they're just fantastical actors and showed it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was my reaction.
I didn't have issues with the movie acting wise. You know, same as you. I'm like, it's great actors. Denzel, John Lithgow. I pretty much will watch anything they're going to be in because I know you're going to get a great performance out of them. I will say I felt this was the first time watching for me. I had not seen this movie before. I will say I felt a little awkward on behalf of the movie, if that makes sense. I'll clarify. Yes. I'll clarify that by saying, if you've ever watched, I don't know if you, I really haven't been to too many like live stand-up comedy things. But but I feel like if you were at a stand-up comedy show and the comedian was kind of funny, but not really, and the jokes just weren't landing, but you couldn't quite tell if that was all part of the act or not.
Right.
You get what I'm trying to say?
I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah. That was this movie for me. I was like, it has all the ingredients to be a Lethal Weapon or a Die Hard or something like that. And it just felt a little awkward.
Just didn't. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, it didn't quite hit the mark. It was on the board, but it just, well, I got to ask Bo his, because I was supposed to keep this short, but, when we were on that other podcast and we kept talking about one of the great things about Die Hard is there's so many like great one-liners and there's so much great dialogue and there's so much memorable dialogue in that movie that, humanizes the villain or makes it like, oh man, that's a great line for a villain to say, or, the stuff John McClane says. And in this movie, you could tell they were trying to do the same thing. There's a whole bunch of one-liners. There's a whole bunch of what should be zingers in this movie. And yet when they deliver them, and through no fault of, I don't think through any fault of John Lithgow or Denzel Washington, their delivery is fine. Most of those one-liners, it just had me sitting there going, wait, what did they just say?
Mm-hmm.
Like what? It was almost like they were trying to come up with, it was almost like every line said by those two characters in a pivotal moment, like they were trying to invent the perfect catchphrase. And I was like,
right.
No, you're trying too hard, guys. You're trying way too hard. So,
right.
All right. So I went on for too long. Bo, what did you, was this your first time watching, and how to make you feel?
I think I'm going to steal a line from these kids today.
Mm-hmm.
It made me feel some kind of way.
Okay.
It just, you might have put it in better words. It just didn't hit the mark in a lot of ways. And yeah.
Because it starts off promising, right? Like the movie starts off.
They were setting you up for something good, for sure.
Yeah.
Just didn't really land.
Yeah. Because you got Denzel, you got Kevin Pollak. I mean, and I thought they were great as partners.
Yeah, they were fun. And they didn't, they avoided the trope of they avoided that trope where even the partner doesn't believe him.
Right.
And they have to go through that 20 minutes. They just said, no, this guy's in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which I think is good. And sometimes I think that needs to happen more.
Right.
So we start off the movie, and we kind of get that there at the beginning as we get introduced to the two cops, and we kind of get introduced to them at a basketball game, and they're not doing so well, but that also introduces Ice-T's character. And then we kind of jump ahead a little bit to, they're at kind of like a carnival. I don't recall exactly what the carnival was. It was just some type of fair that they're having in the town. And they kind of stumble upon a deal gone bad. And they hear some gunshots, and so they're going to kind of investigate. And you get that moment where John Lithgow's out, he's taken a hostage, and Denzel Washington, it was almost like, because Denzel, I don't think is really going to play crazy like a Mel Gibson would with a Martin Riggs, but Denzel Washington, I don't think too many folks are going to mind if he's taking his shirt off. So, that's how he is going to distract the crook, is start taking his shirt off. He's like, look, I got no armor on. He has that one line I think we both kind of chuckled at during the trailer is, I got the only weapon I got left is only if you're a pretty girl. So I got nothing left here. So eventually, and then he, has the gun in the back of his pants, and he ends up taking down John Lithgow, and he's got him. And so that's kind of the catalyst for the rest of the movie, because then John Lithgow is spending his time in prison trying to figure out how he can get back at Denzel's character and how he can, go about ruining his life. And like you said, when we first started, we're trying to figure out, okay, where does the Ricochet meaning come from, or how does that fit in? And through the movie, you spend kind of the rest of the movie as he does kind of systematically destroy a lot of Denzel's life through, creating these manufactured, addiction to drugs, or, the other guy he was with, the councilman he was with, they make it look like he was, he had child pornography and all kinds of other stuff. And then it kind of flips in the movie. And then Denzel is starting to kind of flip things around on him too. But, that's kind of the premise of this movie, is the back and forth, I guess, of them, quote unquote, ruining each other's lives. But yeah, it just, for me, the setup, kind of the story of it, even the story was fine. Like, I don't think I have too many problems with the story. I thought, which, to tie it to another Denzel movie, which I think might have even done it just maybe a little bit better, is the movie Fallen. And I know I've talked about that one before, where it's the demonic possession one, where there's the demon that can pass from person to person. And he kind of takes a liking is not the right word, but he kind of takes a liking to Denzel and his character. And he's like, hey, I'm going to mess with this guy's life, and I'm going to do some stuff to kind of frame him and get his life, totally ruined. Just because I'm a demon, and that's what I do. That's how I roll. And, so similar, several years later, but similar to the premise of this one, where, John Lithgow is trying to ruin his life. So I don't think I have too many problems with the story, like the actual plot. And I really don't have problems with the acting. The acting was great. I think, like I said before, I think it was the dialogue. Like, the dialogue regularly took me out of this movie.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. And some of the action choices, it was just a little bit too over the top, like the stripping down your clothes. It was kind of like, yeah, okay, I get what they're trying to do, but, yeah. And I'll say that's the best part about Denzel Washington. Like he almost sold it, I think he did sell it. Like, he makes it look cool. He makes it look like legit. Like, even jumping ahead to courtroom thing, when he makes that speech in the courtroom, and then he starts screaming, and everyone's like, oh my God, like, what the heck? Like, but then he somehow throws it out there and brings it back and makes that, and that adds into the speech, because he's able to do crazy stuff and then just be completely deadpan, but just so cool. He just looks cool. So that goes a long way in terms of selling it, but yeah, some interesting choices with some of you said dialogue, and I say, some of the action sequences.
Yeah. So for the story itself, when we think about like the kind of the substance of the movie, the story, the plot, was it believable? Because there were moments where things were a little over the top, or some characters were a little over the top, but the story itself, do you feel like that was that believable enough to keep your attention?
I think so. I kind of feel like, guy gets angry, wants revenge. We've seen that kind of stuff before, right? What was it? It was a cop movie. Kurt Russell was in it a couple years back that we did, right? Kurt Russell and was it Tom Berenger?
Are you thinking of Tango and Cash?
No, this was like or maybe it was Ray Liotta and Kurt Russell. I thought there was something where one of them was a cop and the other one was a former cop or something, and like tries to take revenge and messes with his family, so I don't know. But I think that's kind of that's a theme that works, whether it's believable in real life or not. I think it works within the context of a movie. So I think the story was like, oh, okay, cool. Some guy that wants to take revenge. And then framing someone, like they totally set him up. I tend not to like movies like that. I don't like it when I kind of like it more straight up. I don't like it when someone's on the run and everyone thinks that, oh, well, he did it kind of thing. But I think the reason I don't like it is it's just, it sucks me in and I'm like, oh no, clear your name. Is he going to do it? Is he going to, is everyone going to believe him? Like, it kind of adds to the suspense. So, I like that. I think just Yeah, I think the storyline kind of works, or not the storyline, but the concept. You know.
Yeah, I don't know that there was any fault in that. I mean, it's a pretty standard story. The guy who got thrown in jail comes back to get the cop who put him there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Nothing really. And I don't think anything that they had the villain do was completely ridiculous. Maybe the last scene was a little, but you know, it certainly wasn't out of the realm of reality.
For as methodical as the villain seemed to be for the rest of the movie, it did seem like he very quickly kind of went off the deep end when he found out that Denzel's character was still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Like that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
There were a couple of times where I felt there was an escalation for time's sake.
Mm-hmm.
That was one, and I feel like maybe even in the prison sequence, like I'll try to put my finger on it, but there were a couple times where I was like, okay, we could have spent a little more time there. Mm-hmm. The movie could have been 10 minutes longer, and that would have felt more motivated. It would have felt more earned, maybe.
Mm-hmm. There were a lot of moments. I felt like there were several moments in the movie. I think that's a good way of putting it, that they didn't stick around long enough for it to earn the tension that it probably needed. You know, the whole thing of when they filmed him together with the woman, and they created that tape, and they had her saying something. They put different audio in. But they didn't sit with that long enough. Like, it was very quickly, it was like, oh, this is shocking. Look at it. Even his wife is not going to trust him. And he might have some kind of a disease now. But they didn't sit with it long enough. Like, it was almost like quickly, oh, now on to the next thing. Like, here's another scandal. Here's another, and I wanted it to just kind of simmer a little bit.
Yeah, and maybe one less scandal would have been okay if that meant you could have stuck with the one you were on.
Yeah.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like they were piling on and trying to race through it. It felt like a montage more than a.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was goofy for sure.
And frankly, that's got to be the worst security at a jail ever.
Right.
Because and you know, we talked about this. Was this 2 years ago now? Yeah, 2 years ago now. I didn't realize that this movie was the first instance where they had an organized game of Jugger from that movie Blood of Heroes.
Mm-hmm.
That they organized one in the prison cafeteria, and I was like, that's amazing. And it didn't hurt that, you know, this had some Highlander people in common, but I'm like, it's either a reenactment of a scene from Highlander, or they're playing a game of Jugger from that movie, that Rutger Hauer movie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I was like, really? Is this? And not that I ever want to go to prison, but is this really how they handle things in prison? And is the security that bad that we can apparently put on our book armor and do battle?
The book armor was outstanding.
I feel like I didn't watch this with my wife, but I feel like as a librarian, she might have appreciated that.
Yeah.
Or she would have said they were, you know,
defiling.
Well, that's
a good word. Yeah.
That too. I did like his when the book guy came around. Give me two of the biggest books you got.
Yep.
Yeah.
I got War and Peace and the Bible.
Yeah.
So I wonder what he used for. Oh, that should have been one of our three questions. If you were going to build book armor, you know, what books would you use for your armor?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I think War and Peace is definitely going to be in there.
War and Peace has got to be on the list, right?
Yeah. The decline and fall of the Roman Empire.
There you go. I've got a complete works of Shakespeare that's pretty big.
Yep. There you go.
Although, knowing how well I would probably do in battle, I don't think an entire collection of Encyclopedia Britannica probably would save me.
The tax code, the U.S. tax code, that'd probably be, you know.
Yeah. But yeah, it was the first thing I thought of. And actually, ironically, let me look it up real fast. I had it right here. So the role of the killer, Earl Talbot Blake, was originally considered for Rutger Hauer, who was the actor in that Blood of Heroes movie where they had Jugger. So I was like, well, I mean, he could have just reenacted the whole scene, whole fight scenes from that movie, the whole sports scenes from that movie in this prison scene.
Right. That would have been perfect.
Would you gentlemen like for me to blow your minds just a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah, man.
Okay. So this movie, and I had no idea about this. So this movie had Mary Ellen Trainor, and she was in Die Hard and the Goonies, and in Die Hard, she was not the obnoxious, not William Atherton, the obnoxious journalist, but she was a TV reporter in Die Hard. And as a TV reporter in Die Hard, her name was Gail Wallens. In this movie, her name is Gail Wallens.
What?
It is supposed to be the exact same person.
It's the same world.
It's the same universe. Yep.
It's the same old world.
Yeah. The Die Hardiverse.
That's awesome. Seriously, that's awesome. Because,
I thought that was kind of cool, because you have some writers in common. You've got the producer. You have the producers in common, and D'Souza, who wrote Die Hard, did the screenplay. Right. So I think that was kind of fun. Anybody who might have gone to seen these movies. Otherwise, there's no shared universe in 1991 for anything. But the fact that you could look at something like this and be like, huh, that's supposed to be set in the same. Well, okay, that's kind of cool.
That is cool. That is really cool.
Little Easter egg for the folks that catch those kind of things.
Yes, exactly.
I did not want to miss my opportunity to point this one out because this was the line that I've already mentioned that some of the dialogue in this, I felt like they were trying too hard to come up with a good catchphrase. They were trying too hard to Die Hard it, and come up with a bunch of catchphrases. And, so this one, and I got to cue it up here because this is exactly what it made me think of at the moment. Like I didn't have to think about this. I'm like, that's exactly what that reminds me of.
Right.
The moment where I think it's the first moment where Denzel finds out that Earl Talbot Blake is still alive, and then they knock him out. And was it Kim? Was that Blake's like squirrely assistant guy? I think that was his name. I think the character's name is Kim. They're grabbing him after they've knocked him out, and he goes, and I'm gonna clean up the language a little bit because we try to be family friendly. And he goes, "I bet he messed his pants. I can't wait to look." And I was like,
I do remember that line now that you say it.
And I was like, I bet he messed his pants. I can't wait to look. Why can you not wait to look?
Yeah, that's weird.
And you want to know what that made me think of? This is exactly what that made me think of.
You're in big trouble, though, pal. I eat pieces of like you for breakfast.
You eat pieces of
for breakfast? No.
I wanted John Lithgow to turn to him and be like, "You can't wait to look." No.
Yeah. In a way, and I don't want to get too like Jack Handy here, but in a way, that line kind of sums up what happened with the movie. Was, oh, it's going real out, and then all of a sudden it's like, really? So that did we just carry this too far? Like, that's kind of how I feel about the movie. Like everything, like, oh wow, this is kind of a compelling plot. Like, it's suspense. What would you do in this situation? Oh, okay, this is so crazy. Like, all right, really? Like, we're gonna do all those things? Okay, you're gonna try and catch this guy. At the end, you came up with this plan, and then all of a sudden we're like, oh, we're swinging from buildings, and news cameras are showing up at like, oh, we're gonna do that? Oh, okay. It was just, oh, so you think your daughters are in trouble, so you're going to run in your bathrobe and boxer shorts across town? That's kind of how it was. It was like, cool. Oh, wait. No, we took that too far. Let's bring that one back a little bit.
So here was another interesting thing I found is that apparently this movie was originally written as a Dirty Harry film.
Okay.
And Clint Eastwood didn't want it because he felt the storyline was too grim.
All right, I could see that.
Too grim for Dirty Harry. That's saying something.
Well, and I think originally there was more torture in the screenplay. From what I hear, they had some scenes where there was torture, and I guess those scenes got cut out because the test audiences, in particular, it was a white man torturing a black man, and I think some of the scenes just very much did not play well with the test audiences, so they took those pieces out. So it sounds like the screenplay could have been a little bit more intense even than what the movie ended up being.
Yeah.
So.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is I don't want to keep beating a dead horse with it, but this movie is an interesting bird.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a lot of different, I commented to Pat, towards the beginning, that I felt like when I first started the movie, I didn't look up who was doing the music. I didn't look up who the cinematographer was, but immediately in some of the first action scenes, I'm like, well, did I accidentally put on Predator? Like, what is going on here with the music? So back immediately, I was like, it's got to be Alan Silvestri. It's got to be him, because it sounds exactly like it's lifted directly from Predator. And sure enough, I go look, and I'm like, no, that's Commando. That's Predator.
Mm-hmm.
But so sometimes for me, not always, but sometimes for me, when that happens, even with someone like James Horner, who I've said before, the more and more I think about it, I might even like James Horner better than John Williams. I'm gonna blaspheme and say that. But even with John Horner and with John Williams to a certain degree too, whenever I hear a piece of music by a composer that I know and that I enjoy, and it sounds too similar to something else they've done, it kind of takes me out of the movie. And I know we were talking, I think before we started recording, I think we were talking a little bit about that. And I know that there are times, so I'm not like blaming Alan Silvestri for that, because Pat, I think like you said, when we were talking, it's like, sometimes they don't have a choice. Like the director is like, this is what I want to hear. I want to hear something that sounds exactly like Commando. I want to hear something that sounds exactly like this piece in Predator. And if they don't do it, they let them go and they find a different composer. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. That's totally fine. I'm not faulting them for it. But for me personally, when I hear something that's too close to something else, when I hear a piece of music that I know is in Aliens and it shows up in Project X, I'm like, oh, huh. All right. That takes me out for just a moment. Like I'm not able to immerse myself in the movie like I'd like to, because it jars me out of, it's almost like when you're watching a movie, you're in kind of a dream state. And then when something like that happens, it like jars you awake for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. I get what you're saying, but
the music was fine. I mean, like, I don't want to knock the music, but it's just, for me personally, just when things like that happen, I'm like, oh, okay. That was a little weird.
In some ways, it's almost just like you see an actor in a movie, but maybe they're an iconic character in another film. And then it's just like, man, every time I look at that guy, I'm always going to see fill in the blank, Yeah. Okay. I mean, for lack of a better, man, I see Mark Hamill, and whenever I see him, he's Luke Skywalker, or the actor that played Harry Potter. I could see that. Like if he tries to go into any other film, it's kind of like, oh man, I'm always seeing Harry Potter. You know what I'm saying? And I would imagine it's the same with themes, and that's happened to me every time you hear that like melody fragment or that certain collection of notes or that chord or whatever. It's just like, this doesn't fit in this film. Every time I hear that, I think of that cool tank thing in Aliens, busting through the door. I think of, what have you. So I think it's the same way we identify with characters or actors that play them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, before we get into our 3 questions, do we have anything else we want to say about Ricochet?
Solid villain. Like,
yeah.
The concept was, I know we've beat this, but the concept was there.
Yeah.
It just needed some polish. I don't know if it needed, we always talk about the dreaded reshoots, but it just needed an extra edit pass, I think, to clean up some of the timing. Maybe that's it. Maybe it is all the timing.
Yeah.
But young Denzel, young Ice-T, Kevin Pollak, solid. on paper, it sounds really good.
Yeah.
And you want it to be good. And somewhere it lets you down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Young Iced Tea was still brewing. Is that what you're saying?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
There it is.
Yeah. I was sitting on that one for a while.
You were steeping in it, perhaps.
Ooh, there you go. Yes, we are well steeped in the terrible puns.
Just give us time. We'll get you there.
Mm-hmm. Or we just end up in hot water. So, question. Hey, now. There we go.
Oi.
Yeah. People can't see it, but I'll pull on my collar a little bit.
Yeah.
I tell you, I get no respect.
No respect.
Take my wife.
Take my wife, please. Looks like the kind of hat you get with a free bowl of soup. Oh, but it looks good on you. All right. Well, we're not talking Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield could be a great villain.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of fun.
That'd definitely turn it on its ear.
He'd come across as a little crazy. So question that we sometimes end with here, a couple of questions before we get to our 3 questions is, does this movie hold up 30 years later? So if this movie was being released in theaters today, if you saw a movie poster for Ricochet, what would be the reason that would compel you to go see this movie? So you know nothing about it. You see the movie poster, you see the names on the movie poster, maybe you get a glimpse of what the movie's about. What compels you to go check this out in the theater if it comes out today?
I think for me, what you said before is it's kind of a solid concept. If maybe it wasn't, written the best, maybe I don't know. I don't want to sound too judgy here, but I mean, it's like, I think the concept is cool. Like, hey, a guy that's like, upstanding, good citizen, everything like that. Yeah, he's going to get into some trouble, like that concept. Oh yeah, I'll go see that. I'll go see something that has suspense or thriller, as long as the stakes feel real, Sure. Yeah.
Stakes.
If they give steak out, right? Some of us, that might be.
Oh, that'd get me there for sure.
There it is.
There it is. It only took 45 minutes for us to get to food.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
That's not bad for us.
That's not bad. That's impressive. I mean, I don't count tea as food, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
If anyone watches Ted Lasso, the tea is just brown, dirty water.
I have not watched that yet. I need to.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I will.
Okay.
But if you haven't seen Patrick, Ted Lasso,
I have not.
Brother, you must happen.
How long are the episodes?
Half hour.
Oh, good. I keep looking for a good half hour.
Oh, digestible, funny.
Okay.
Not to turn this into the Ted Lasso podcast, but wow. Went in with not a whole lot of expectations, but heard great things from people.
Yeah.
Lived up, surmounted. Fantastic.
Okay. I kept hearing good stuff. I know nothing about it other than just maybe like the initial kind of premise of it, but yeah, I kept hearing good things about it. So it's on my list to catch up on, but.
And it's a good time to do it because the second season drops in July or something. So you'll have double the material.
Good.
While we're on the random streaming television show stuff.
Yeah.
Peacock, so NBC's streaming service, which if you have Comcast, you have a version of it for free. Rutherford Falls with Ed Helms. Good stuff.
Okay. I'll have to check it out. We do have Peacock, so I'll have to check it out.
The interesting thing about Rutherford Falls is it's Ed Helms, and honestly, the character he plays almost could be Andy Bernard. Like they could have written it as the next chapter in Andy Bernard's life, and you would have bought it.
Oh, nice.
The history wouldn't have worked the same way it does, but like he plays Andy Bernard again. Okay. But it's awesome. So good. So there we go.
Let's check it out.
Now that I've sidetracked us again.
That's right. Hey, man, it's an important track to get down.
That's fine. For me, what would make me go see it at the theater, I think the combination of Denzel Washington and John Lithgow would be one of the reasons I would go see it. I think also, and there was a stretch of time, particularly in high school, where I really was enjoying a good psychological thriller. I've mentioned the movie Fallen, which is another Denzel movie. I'm thinking of, this one kind of makes me think a little bit of the movie Ransom. just kind of like a psychological thriller like that. And I think knowing that that's what this one is about, the great actors that are in it, and knowing kind of the genre of the movie, I think that, that would have pulled me in.
Yeah. Yeah, I should have mentioned that too, because I think I just talked about the plot concept. But yeah, the actors. I mean, like I said, the great, incomparable. I mean, he's fantastic. Denzel Washington and John Lithgow. I mean, yeah, I'm just going to echo everything you said. But
yeah, the infamous.
Yes, agree.
The infamous.
The infamous.
Wow. Infamous.
Plus one to Pat. Plus one to John's comment.
There you go. Would you buy this movie on DVD or Blu-ray or digital? I'm going to go with a solid no.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I'm in that same category.
Yeah. I watched it once and it was kind of, like I said, it's fine. Like, I don't feel like I wasted an hour and 42 minutes of my life, but at the same time, probably not going to go back and rewatch it.
Kind of nice that it was only an hour and 42 minutes that you wasted.
It was a one and done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I want more like action kind of thing, I'll go Lethal Weapon or Die Hard. If I want more Denzel Washington, I'll go more of any of his movies. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. I really, yeah.
Well, and I know I've mentioned it several times now in just like the last minute or so. It actually, watching this movie actually made me think, hey, I think I've got a copy of Fallen here on my shelf over here. And I kind of want to go watch that. Actually, I do. I'm looking at it right now. I kind of want to watch that again.
Right.
So that was kind of like, after watching this movie, I was like, would I watch this one again? No. And while I'm watching it, I'm about 2/3 of the way through. I'm like, wow, I really want to go watch Fallen. Oh. All right. I think we're probably ready for 3 questions.
I think it's go time.
Let's do it.
3 questions.
He asks each traveler 5 questions. 3 questions. 3 questions.
It's impossible to answer.
Impossible because you don't know the answer.
Nobody could answer that question.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions. I want to have them answered immediately.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
All right, a simple wrong would have sufficed. Question number 1. If you had to replace another movie's villain with John Lithgow, what movie would you put him in? And I'm going to tell you, I know my answer right away, because I think a combination of like the like craziness, if he could kind of maybe tone down some of the goofy levels of crazy that his character gets in this, and if he could hone it just a little bit, I want to see John Lithgow as Hannibal Lecter.
Ooh, good one.
That'd be my pick.
Very good.
It was going to be that or Darth Vader, and I figured Hannibal Lecter is probably better. I'm totally joking about the Darth Vader. I don't.
I thought it would be interesting, but not in the same way. I was thinking Die Hard.
Oh, yeah. Hans Gruber. That'd be a good one. Pat, what have you got?
I've got myself on mute for crying out loud. Okay, sorry about that.
I'm sure everything you said was very profound.
Oh, I'm positive. I have got Clarence Bodiger from RoboCop.
Yes.
I think he could really inhabit that role.
Yeah. That's a good one.
But Bo, you made me think of another one too. What was your answer again?
Die Hard.
You said Die Hard. Shoot, maybe John. You guys just talked and I'm forgetting what you're saying. There was one that you said that sparked them like,
I said Hannibal Lecter from Silence of
the
Lambs.
You said Hannibal Lecter. Okay, maybe I was thinking of something else. I swear, listening audience, I didn't fall asleep.
He didn't. I will vouch.
Yeah, Clarence. I'd say Clarence Bodiger, and then I know what I was going to say. Totally unrelated to what you guys said. I could see him as a Bond villain. I could see him like, now you're saying which Bond villain? I don't know. But I mean, I could see him as like,
oh, totally.
You could be a Blofeld.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he plays the,
here's one. Let's do a remake of View to a Kill and have him be a Max Zorin.
Yeah.
That could be good.
You could. Yeah. I think you could. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd work.
Little man. I think,
A View to a Kill. He said it.
Oh man. Yeah, I think he could be a Bond villain too, because he's the intellectual one. I mean, he's got that, and then but he can also put books on himself and stab people with spears. So
and how many actors can you say that about?
Brick killed a guy with a trident. You better lay low.
Yes.
I mean, I don't know.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah.
If you want to go like on the far deep end, I'd be like, he could be the alien in Alien.
Yeah.
You just like stand next to shaved head Ripley and stick his tongue out a little bit.
Yeah.
That could be super awkward.
Could be awkward.
Much like this movie, they might have taken it a little bit too far.
No, I can't go there.
Okay.
Not for your comment. I was going to say something else, but I was going to try to reference again Deep Space Nine. I think that'll be my goal, to reference Deep Space Nine. But it's just like
that is a valiant goal. I like it.
It's like me in high school trying to fit the word plethora into every essay.
That's it.
Would you say a plethora?
I did every single time.
Because I think I'm like, I mean, that show in my mind is so perfect. Like, I don't want any of those actors replaced. You know what I'm saying? So I think he could, I'm like, oh, he could be this, he could be, but that's that's getting too crazy. I'm going to stick with my answers. It's 3 questions and I'm not 3 answers. So I'm sticking with 1 answer, Clarence Bodiger. There we go. I've come full circle.
There you go. All right. Question number 2. What's the best hostage situation scene in a movie? I was having a little trouble narrowing this down.
Yeah, well, I don't want to steal someone else's because I think I went with the low-hanging fruit on this one.
Go for it. If you say it first, it's not stealing.
I suppose that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I went with, to keep a theme. I said Die Hard for the villain. I say Die Hard for this.
There you go.
Something about all of the hostage scenes in that movie, something about that atrium where it was staged and the character whose name I'm going to forget now, who tries to buddy up with Hans, just makes those scenes all the better.
Hans, Bubby,
right? That guy. Something about that.
Yeah.
And it could also have something to do with the fact
that put you in charge.
Right. And I feel like it could have something to do with the fact that we've been talking about Die Hard a lot in the last couple of weeks too, but that was definitely definitely there.
Yeah.
Good call.
Patrick, what about yours?
I am going to go with.
I'm going to see if I have a guess, but I want to hear what you. No. You got to say it first because I want to see if I'm right.
I've got to say it first. The Negotiator.
Oh, see, that's not the one I was going with.
Solid.
Oh, okay, there you go. I love that movie. That's a kryptonite movie for me. Like, I don't care where it is. I'll turn it on and I'll watch it. And I just like how Danny Roman, Sam Jackson in that movie. Well, first of all, watching Samuel Jackson is great, but I just love all the negotiation stuff. I love all the, the SWAT team coming in, kind of gunfight stuff, but then simultaneously solving a crime simultaneously at the same time. Talk about redundance again. But I just like that whole movie, the way it was constructed, and they've got some of the humor in there and the cast that they put together for that. So I'll go with The Negotiator.
Okay. All right. That's not because I know you're watching through the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
The one I thought you were going to go with was when Iron Man lands in the village and the terrorists have taken hostages and he just targets them all with he's got the little missiles shoot out and just get
Yeah,
Okay.
that one's pretty cool.
Thought you
He's
might go with that
all
one.
yours.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I had, like I said, I had a little bit of trouble narrowing this down. My first thought was the entire movie of Speed, just because that one's such a fun movie. The other one I had because it's one of my favorite moments in a movie, one of my favorite endings of a movie, so similar in some ways to Die Hard, which we've already kind of talked about, and people like falling off of large heights to their death. RoboCop was another one. The scene at the end with the, you can't fire on an employee of OCP and Dick, you're fired. Thank you. And then that whole thing. The one I think I'm going to go with though, is I think I'm going to go with The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
That whole at the end of the movie with the two boats of hostages, but then he's also got the hostages in the building that, the hostages are dressed up as cops. Or how did it work out? No, the hostages are dressed up as the bad guys, and the bad guys are dressed up as the hostages. And he's got to kind of get that all figured out when he charges into the building, and just that whole scene with the boats and them trying to like decide, do we flip the switch? Do we blow up the other boat? How do we go about doing this? Like that whole like last, what is it? Maybe half hour, 40 minutes of the movie, whatever it is. That was a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I think I got to go with Dark Knight.
Yeah. Great call. Both you guys. Great selections.
But that was like, it was down to that one and Speed, because Speed is still, I know it's kind of a mindless fun movie, but that's still one of my favorites.
Good times.
All right. And finally, question number 3, what's your favorite movie death by impaling? You could go the easy route and say like the first 20 seconds of Bram Stoker's Dracula.
I was going to say Deadpool.
Whatever choice you go with, you got to stick with it.
There it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's here all week.
I have successfully made my point.
I'm
dead silence after I said that one too.
I'm just letting it all wash over me, John. That just hit me. Oh man.
Well, take a stab at it. What do you got, Bo? You said Deadpool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I'll have to go last. I don't know if I came up with one.
I've got a funny one, and then I've got my actual answer. My funny one is in The Cable Guy. When he falls onto the satellite dish at the end, and you think that he's been impaled by that piece in the satellite dish, but it really not. And it's like he's almost disappointed that he's not stabbed through with the satellite dish. Right. The answer I'm going to go with, and because this is another one that I saw at a young age, and this time I don't mean like 2 years old. This time it was like a little bit more like 11 or 12. But the movie Impalement is Impalement's a word. I just made it up.
It is. It's a good word.
The movie Impaling that was so shocking to me as a young movie watcher was when Bishop gets impaled by the Queen Alien's tail in Aliens.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got to go with that one because there's a whole bunch of other great ones, but I got to go with that one because as an 11 or 12-year-old watching that movie, I at that point thought the movie was over. Did not know that there was about to be a whole other action sequence, and just when that tail goes right through the Bishop android, I was like, well, okay, hold on.
Yeah. That's the real deal. I'm gonna say Commando, and if I remember it right, there, I mean, because we were talking about this when we were the guest on Jerry's podcast about the Die Hard, and you were mentioning about when I first saw Commando, and I just fun, just great action movie, and that was the big fight scene, and I think the bad guy got it. He was impaled on something at the end. I can't remember exactly what it was. It might have been a farm implement or something.
It was a lead pipe.
That's what it was.
And the line was, "Let out some steam, Bennett."
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
You're gonna go watch. You're gonna go watch Commando after this, aren't you?
I'm gonna go watch Commando. Okay. Yes.
What are you gonna watch at Commando?
Ooh.
It depends.
Depends if there's hostages involved.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's the terrible line from this one? I guess a Beretta in the butt beats a butterfly in a boot, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, trying too hard.
Yeah. 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 A for effort.
Yeah.
A for effort.
Because when you say, I won't finish it, but when you say yippee-ki-yay, that line, I understand what you mean.
Right.
When you try to drop a line like, I guess a Beretta in the butt beats a butterfly in a boot, huh? Like, wait, hold on. Where do I drop my feet in Poughkeepsie? What are we talking about?
Yeah. I don't know what that means. I'm sorry.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm a fairly educated person, and I watch a lot of movies. I'm like, I don't know what you're trying to tell me.
Yeah.
Except there's a Beretta in somebody's butt.
Yeah.
Knowing that you and I have both watched Guardians of the Galaxy is like, why would they put sticks up people's butts? That's cruel.
I know.
Why did they? That's cruel. Why would they do that?
What a great movie. Just a great movie.
Kevin Bacon is a great hero. All right. Well, gentlemen, I think that's going to do it for Ricochet. I think we've ricocheted off this one a few times, so that'll do it for this one for us. But we are the 30-something movie podcast. You can find us at 30podcast.com as our website, at 30podcast on most of the social medias. Our next episodes, in the month of July, we've got coming up, month of June, we've got coming up the Guns of Navarone is our Patreon episode. Naked Gun 2.5, JFK, Hot Shots, Toy Soldiers. Let's see, and then the next month after that, we've got our Patreon book review is Heir to the Empire, the Thrawn trilogy from 91. Then we've got King Ralph, The Commitments, Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Hook. And then the next month after that, we've got the Patreon episode is Stripes from 1981, Terminator 2, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, Star Trek VI, The Undiscovered Country, and Suburban Commando. So all kinds of good stuff. And if you want to go commando when you watch Suburban Commando, you could totally do that too. Mm-hmm. We could go Suburban Commando. I don't know what that means.
I'm just, yeah.
I don't know what that means.
That's not too really.
Yeah. So, gentlemen, thank you once again. Always fun talking movies with you.
Yeah, John, thank you.
All right, everybody, be excellent to each other. Go watch some good movies, and we'll see you back here next time.